Live from the UK, broadcasting around the world, you're listening to Talking Minaret, discussing matters that affect you, streaming to the world and beyond.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome to another episode of Talking Minaret. We're going to be talking about Algeria, more specifically President Tebboune's return to Algeria and his trip to Germany to resume the treatment. Might not seem politically significant, but it is. The rulers of Algeria exploited the Moroccan normalization with Israel, as we mentioned previously in the previous podcast, and paved the way for Article 107 of the Constitution that gives the President or those acting on his behalf wide-ranging powers to preserve the institution's security and stability of the state. As for the stance of the Algerian authorities on normalization, it's nothing but propaganda for the people with the aim of enticing the Algerian public opinion that loves Palestine and containing their domestic tense situation. So it's kind of like it's a diversionary tactics that's happening here. Morocco's normalization with the criminal entity was no surprise because the doomed King Hassan II, I think we mentioned previously, acceded to the throne with the support of the Israeli intelligence services, whose agents, according to leaked reports, met the leader of the Moroccan opposition. It was on the 29th of December 2020 that President Abdelmadjid Tebboune had returned to the country safe and sound after receiving hospital treatment for COVID-19 lasting 2 months in Germany. This is important. His return to Algeria and then his departure less than 2 weeks later to complete his treatment means that he had an urgent issue to attend to, meaning to ratify the new constitution, sign the new budget law of 2021 and contain the Mussolini political parties. The return of the president from Germany was designed to dissipate the rumours surrounding his health and thwart the calls for effectuating Article 102 of the Constitution that stipulates the removal of the president on the grounds of poor health. So this means only one thing, that the return of President Tebboune, who is but a puppet of the rule of the generals, we're going to go into that, was coordinated by General Said Chengriha to circumvent any cause that could prevent the approval of the budget and the constitutional amendment which has impact on the function of the army. President Tebboune carried out extensive changes within the Algerian army, which combined the inner circle of General Said Chengriha. So you're kind of getting an image now of how military rule, that's the backbone of that country, the deep state. So the facade of President Tebboune and his status as president is nothing but a facade. It's similar to the United States. So we talked about it in the previous podcast in relation to what happened in Capitol Hill and the deep state and how they wanted to get rid of Trump. Moving on, Khalid Nezar, who commented after the appointment of Said Chengriha as General Chief of Staff, said that the army is now in safe hands. Soon after that, here's the point, Khalid Nezar was absolved of money laundering charges in Spain, and the 20-year-old sentence issued against him in absentia was rescinded 1 month after his return to Algeria. They took advantage of the surprising developments in the issue of Western Sahara to arrange for the return of General Khalid Nezar in an attempt to restore the reputation of the army and to end the regime's divisions. These facts indicate that Tebboune is nothing but a facade brought by the army, and the army are the de facto rulers of Algeria, as we mentioned previously. As for Tebboune's slamming of normalization, it does not exceed anything but alignment with the popular standpoint in Algeria that strongly rejects normalization. We mentioned this in a previous podcast actually. So it's nothing but just, it's a mouthpiece gesture because the people in Algeria are strongly against normalization anyway, so he'd lose a lot of support there. There was also the activities of France's ambassador. He was slammed by several Algerian MPs and party leaders and accused of meddling in Algeria's affairs. So the restructuring that Said Chengriha is doing of the army, the security agencies, has come amidst the issues of neutralizing French meddling, through which If you didn't know, France is trying to attempt and incite the Berber separation by taking advantage of the deteriorating economic situation caused by the drop in demand for oil because of COVID-19. There's a bit of background on this. Algeria's oil revenue suffered a bit of setback and dropped by a third, and foreign currency reserves dropped from $200 billion in 2014 to $44 billion this year. The Algerian dinar lost 20% of its value against the euro in 2020, and some Algerians commented that UNESCO may declare the Algerian currency an endangered species. Going back to the point, the structuring undertaken by Said Changiha in what's coming up, such as the Libyan file, the normalization, the role of army in the foreign missions, especially in Mali, where America is attempting to curb French presence. But Africa is the continent with the most French speakers in the world, and they had the Operation Barkhane, I think it was called. It's an ongoing anti-insurgency operation started in 1st of August 2014, which is led by French military in Africa's Sahel region. It consists of roughly about 5,000 strong French forces, and at the moment they're losing support, they're losing soldiers in relation to this. So from this we get the fact that all this and the normalization that's happened in Morocco is but a distraction away from the restructuring what's happening within the deep state of the military of that country. And certainly Tebboune coming back and forth from Germany for his treatment for COVID, it's just to ratify the new constitution and sign the budget law of 2021 and to muzzle the political parties, because he's like the military deep state's mouthpiece for that country. He's a puppet for the rule of the generals. And remember, Tebboune, as a mouthpiece, he's carried out extensive changes within the Algerian army, which kind of cemented and solidified the inner circle of General Said Changiha. Hope that was helpful, inshallah. Support us, subscribe, share. Assalamu alaikum.